Victoria.
And this is Mika.
And this is
A Word at the Table. So today, before we jump into our topics, we're going to do our usual bag of questions where we ask, we pose a question. It's a random question that has nothing to do with, nothing. And I pick it from a list and we will all chime in and give our answers. Since I don't have the bag, you guys have to pick a number.
Yeah,
from 1 to 35. Pick a number, any
35.
number. Yeah, between 1 and 35.
She's saying 35.
Oh, 35? Okay. Of all the people in your family, I don't like this question.
Okay.
Whose death
Oh my
would
god.
you find most disturbing
What?
and why?
No.
This is a very serious note to start
Yeah.
on. We're going to do another one.
Yeah.
Next. No, another number.
17.
17. What is your most treasured memory that you want to share?
Treasured memory.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
These are really deep
Right?
questions.
I don't think I remember my earliest memory, but like not my most treasured.
Treasured.
You got one?
No, I actually had something on my mind this week. I'm sorry to be a little off topic, but like, I was thinking, you know how like you really get to know someone pretty well? You could be like, oh, okay, I could see Gigi doing that. Like, I don't know, like if someone said that I wanted to start a ministry or something, you're like, okay, maybe I could see Gigi doing that. Or if they said I ran away or something, and you're like, Gigi, like whatever. You
Most
get to know that
likely,
person.
like,
You
yeah.
could see them doing it, or you could figure out their moves. Like, do you ever think we can ever get to know God that way? Like to the point, like, yes, I know God says that His thoughts and ways are higher than ours, but like, do we ever get to the point of knowing God so well that we can kind of like foresee or predict or know, you know, this will be happening? Does that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole thing of being a Christian, because you're in a relationship with God. And I think when we're led by the flesh, we don't know the voice of God, and we don't know what God wants. We don't know the ways of God. But when you live in the Spirit of God and you're led by His Spirit, then yeah,
Yeah.
you do get to know Him, and you know, oh, this is, if I'm doing this is godly. If you're not doing something that is God approved, even if it's like, I had 3 cookies, I want to go for a 4th one.
Okay.
Like, it's something like we don't even, that's so small. God
Right.
doesn't care about that. God probably doesn't
Or
even
does
eat
he?
cookies. Does He? Yeah, but like,
He's like,
For the
no, my
diet.
son.
yeah, like that's the flesh.
2. The serving size says 2.
Right. So I feel like maybe not something as cookies, but like in small decisions, like you will feel where God is leading you, and I think that's knowing God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like even if it's not pertained to you, do you think like you can actually foresee, like if someone was to tell you something and you could be like, you know, God will pull you through it because something.
Well, I
like,
think that's
don't
the
know,
gift of
like,
prophecy. You're thinking of that, right? That's the
Yeah,
gift,
like knowing His moves and His ways.
That's just a gift that like God sometimes talks to people directly, and like
Yeah.
like, do you remember my high school graduation where Pastor Sam was going around telling, oh, I see this for you and I see that for you, da 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 da. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like knowing
some
what
people
can predict. Like,
Really?
predict-
Yeah, some people get that gift.
I need to be Pastor Sam.
I mean, he's not like a psychic, you know. He's like,
Yeah,
Just
I mean
kidding.
to that level,
No.
like not
Yeah.
even in your life, but in other people's lives, like knowing His moves and knowing His ways. Like, yeah, I could see God doing that. It's gonna happen, type of thing. Like, can we ever get to that point, or is that like a gift? I guess God gives to certain people.
I think it's a gift.
Yeah,
'Cause,
I think so too.
what was his name? Joseph. He wasn't like early on, like he wasn't like super. Like, I'm not saying like he wasn't into God, but like early on in his story, like he had like the gift of prophecy, like, oh, so this was gonna happen, y'all, and everybody was like,
Nice. Yeah.
These dreams.
yeah. So I think that's a gift that certain people get.
And I think also, like, Joseph didn't even really know what those dreams meant
Exactly.
at first. So, yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
something that is beyond your control. But I think that brings me to a question that I had in mind, not from the list. not a question, a thought. Let's see if it becomes a question. My pastor was preaching on this, and he was talking about the law, like the Old Testament, versus Jesus and love. And he said, if you think about Adam was the perfect man. He was created by God, by God's hands. He had the perfect wife. He had the perfect home. He had the perfect father. He had the perfect job. Everything, he was perfect. Everything in him was perfect, and yet he still broke the law and sinned. And it's like, no matter how good we think we are, like, you can never be so perfect that you will meet every single law that God has set for you. Like, and that's why we need grace through Jesus. And I was like, wow, I never thought about that. Yeah, Adam had the perfect life, and still he fell from grace. Like, well, he wasn't in grace, but you know what I mean?
He fell.
Yeah. So it wasn't a question, just a thought. Yeah.
No, you're right. Like, we still have all these flaws. Like, don't ever think you reached a certain point of just like perfection. I think it's also too, like, don't try to not like strive for it, but at the same time, you know, just know that it happens. Like,
like, you know that you'll never reach it, but also always and then
use it as an excuse.
And that's the other thing. Like, when you think about like, for example, like with me and my family, whether my family is wrong or right, I'm with them. Like, we stick with each other through everything, through thick and thin. Like, it's not like I'm enslaved to my family, but
loyalty.
It's a loyalty thing, and you feel the obligation to be there. And that's the same way we should be with God. Like, it's not, we do what God says to do, not because we're slaves of God, but because He's our Father, and we have that loyalty to Him. And I think that's the way to think of it. Yeah. Okay, so I guess we won't do bag of questions. I think that was
that was
good. You want one more question? Okay.
These killing questions.
Yeah, I think they were.
You had your last meal.
Actually, this is a good question.
The Last Supper, like Jesus.
This is a good question.
Who betray you in your group of friends?
Oh man. All right, next question. What do you value most in a friendship?
Encouragement. Yeah.
Support.
Okay.
And honesty too. Because sometimes you don't really see yourself. Sometimes you're doing the same things you might have told yourself, even talked about, like, yo, I gotta really fix this, but you end up doing it again. Like, I like someone, of course, don't attack me, but I like someone saying, yo, G, like, you gotta fix yourself with this situation or whatever. So I like honesty. Like, I appreciate that. Like, I don't want anybody around me that sees me going a wrong path and doesn't necessarily try to help me, because I feel like you're not really my friend.
So somebody who keeps you accountable.
Yeah.
Just how God does.
Yeah. That's a good answer. I agree. Ditto.
Second that.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on to our topic.
All right, guys.
All right. So we're ready. So we're going to get our topic for today. I don't have a title for this, actually. It's going to be a little bit all over the place, but hopefully it's not all over the place.
We'll bring it all in.
Yeah, we'll title it at the end.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to talk today about Luke 24. It has 53 verses, so we're not gonna read the whole chapter. So I'll just summarize what's going on in Luke 24. You guys can read it on your own at another time. But pretty much, Luke 24 is the third day after the crucifixion of Jesus. And when Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of Jesus, and a third woman, what is her name? Joanna, went to the tomb with spices to embalm Jesus' body.
Is that the same woman with the hair? She wiped Jesus down.
Mary Magdalene is.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I've never heard of Joanna, but okay.
Yeah, Joanna is random. So the three.
Hey guys.
The three women went to the tomb with spices. It doesn't say why they went with spices or
To
why
prepare
they
the
went.
body.
Or I think I don't
Yeah.
know if they do that. I think I was reading somewhere that they do that immediately after.
Oh,
I don't know.
But yeah.
Anyway, they went to prepare. They went with the spices to the tomb, and when they went, they found that the body of Jesus was gone. So they were distraught, of course, and they were sad and crying. And two angels appeared to them, and the angels said, "The Son of Man must be delivered over the hands of sinners and be crucified, and on the third day he raised again." And after the angel said that, the women remembered that Jesus said this. So they went to the 11 disciples, and it's 11 now because obviously Judas is dead. He committed suicide. And so they went to the 11, and the women told them what happened, and the 11 were like, "Okay, women, you're crazy. We don't believe you." So Peter ran to the tomb to verify himself to see if that was true, and he saw that the body was gone. So he was puzzled also, like, what's going on? Why is the body gone? This doesn't make sense. And so let's pause here. We'll talk about this. So I just want to hear your guys' your thoughts on this. Like, what do you think? Why do you think everyone was so slow to believe that Jesus actually raised from the dead when he spent all this time with them, telling him that this was going to happen? But when it happened, they at first didn't believe it until they saw Jesus himself.
I was gonna say, funny how how you were like, this might be a little scattered. It kind of correlates to my question about knowing someone's ways and knowing who they are. Maybe if they would have, like, I guess, known him a little bit better or actually believed in his word, maybe they would have believed it. I don't know, but you want to say something?
I was just gonna say that, like, there's a finality of death that, like, sometimes you think that it just, you close the book on it. Like, even you kind of forget all the miracles that you witnessed with this man.
Yeah.
Whatever, you witness his death, you see his blood pouring or whatever. All right, so the end. Or whatever,
Yeah,
you know?
that's true. And it must have been, like, very traumatizing for them, because just 3 days prior, they knew that Jesus was innocent and he was being crucified. And I was, my pastor was preaching on this during Easter about how crucifixion, like how painful it is. So the way that you die when you're nailed to the cross is like you drown in your own bodily fluids, like inside. Like when your hands are nailed to the cross, like you start to droop down because gravity just pulls you down. So you in turn like try to lift yourself up for relief. So you're holding yourself up, and now the nails at your feet are ripping up. So like the pain is unbearable on both ends, and like you're trying to, your lungs are forcing you to like try to lift out of the fluids that's like coming, like just drowning your lungs. So yeah, it's really painful. Like you, and eventually you give up and just let your body fall into it, and you die that way. So that's how crucifixion, that's how cruel it is and how painful it is. And like in some instances, if you remember in the story when the two thieves were at either side of Jesus, they actually didn't die. They had to break their legs to just get them to stop pulling themselves up and down. That's
Who they?
Well, the soldiers.
Oh.
They broke their legs so that they could just drop into.
Wow.
They just drop, and their lungs get submerged by fluids, and they die on the spot. So that's another thing that like
Wow.
When we hear the story, the resurrection story, and we hear about crucifixion, we're like, oh, he was crucified. But crucifixion is like so gory and so
Yeah.
painful, and it wasn't something that just happened in like a minute. It went
Right. It
over-
wasn't like a neat transition. Like
Yeah.
you just got nailed.
Yeah.
It's like literally you had to walk with the cross. Like they were like throwing that
That was the
thorn-
easy part. My
spitting
God.
at him, yeah,
kicking at him,
Yeah.
putting the thorn
yep.
crown.
Yeah,
whatever you
making
call
fun
it.
of him, of course.
Yeah.
And through all of this, to think that through that pain that he was going through, that he never cursed them, but blessed them in that moment. That's just incredible.
How could
Yeah.
someone think that was a man? Like,
Yeah,
exactly. Like, that is not.
Yeah, it's not possible for any man to do.
Yeah, so I can see
Yeah.
how someone could not think that was true that he came back. Like really.
Yeah,
he
like
came
after
back.
you
yeah.
saw all of that, like
Yeah.
really,
But if they actually remembered
Jesus,
what he was about
right.
and what he spoke about, probably would have been like an inkling of like maybe it is true. Maybe that's why Peter ran and
Yeah, and also
out.
like it's not that the 11 disciples believed when Jesus was with them. They believed that Jesus was the Son of God. They didn't believe he was a prophet or a man of God. They believed that he was the Messiah. But after his death, I think like it shows our human nature. We're so quick to forget, and they just had to see it to believe it. And I mean, the rest of the chapter 24. Jesus appeared to two other men that not disciples, but not part of the 11 disciples, but two other men that were walking somewhere away from Jerusalem, and he appeared to them, and it says that he walked with them while they were discussing what happened over the past 3 days and how Jesus was crucified and how now his body is gone, and they were just pondering like how could this happen. And to them, as those two men were talking, this other third man came on the road and was talking along with them, and that third man started teaching them like from the Old Testament, from the law, from Moses to all the prophets, and how they spoke about these things, how they will happen, and they were like, oh my gosh, so he was the Son of God. But those two men never realized that this third man was actually Jesus that appeared to them until they invited Jesus over. They're like, oh, come in because it's nighttime. You shouldn't continue on your journey. Just come in and spend the night with us. And he broke bread with them like Jesus used to. And at that moment, their eyes were open and they realized that, oh my gosh, this is Jesus.
That's not creepy.
Yeah. And at that moment, he disappeared.
Yeah, that's like a M. Night Shyamalan movie or something.
Yeah.
wow.
And Jesus also appeared to the 11 disciples as they were gathered together. And I think there were other people in the room as well. And he greeted them, peace be with you. And they were, of course, mourning his death. And he said, why are you troubled? Why do doubts rise in your minds? Look at my hands and my feet. It is I myself. Touch me and see. A ghost does not have flesh and bones as you see that I have. And he goes on to say, do you have anything to eat here? So he sat down and ate with them. And he said, this is what I told you while I was still with you. Everything must be fulfilled that is written about me in the law of Moses, the prophets, and the Psalms. The Messiah will suffer and rise from the dead on the third day, and repentance for the forgiveness of sins will be preached in his name to all nations, beginning at Jerusalem. You are witnesses to these things. I am going to send you what my Father had promised, but stay in the city until you have been clothed with the power from on high. So it took that moment, and it took Jesus himself to show up to the disciples for them to realize that for them to remember that Jesus was the Son of God. Because I think also, like, after they saw Jesus die, maybe they lost the faith that they had because why didn't he save himself? Like, why would God allow his loving son to suffer this way? Like,
That's interesting
Yeah.
because, like, I feel like even in our lives, when we go through something, we're like, why did God let this happen? Like, where is my God? Like, why is this happening? And we, exactly how they did, we tend to forget when Jesus actually did help us out. When other times when Jesus pulled us through and whatever, it's like we forget those moments. And so it's like, I feel like God wants to remind us, like, hold on to those moments when I did help out, because you remember I pulled you through it before, I could do it again. So I think that's very symbolic of what we do today.
Yeah, that brings me actually, that's a great lead to my next question. Which miracles are most difficult for you to believe? Like miracles that are in your life, like which miracles are most difficult, or in the Bible, for you to believe? And are there any of God's promises that you struggle to believe for yourself?
Which miracles do I believe are hard to believe?
There was like this. Do you guys? Okay, as a Christian, do you think we can believe in jinx?
Jinx?
Yeah, like I don't want to jinx it, but
I mean, I don't believe in that. I think it's good. It'll happen the way it's supposed to happen.
I still don't want to jinx it. Okay, so my high school graduation, when Pastor Sam was like going around saying, I see this, he came to me and he gave me a certain prophecy or whatever, right? I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. Like I really hope that's gonna happen or whatever, right? And this is like almost 10 years later, and I'm like, was he just like saying things? Like I don't know, like whatever, right? So like I think that's the promise that I feel like I struggle to have, like that's gonna happen, whatever.
Yeah. Wow.
It's interesting.
That actually, I was like, I don't think I have one. But as you were speaking, I feel like I remember my mom told me ever since she had me as a baby, she felt like God spoke to her to tell her and told her that like I would be like a special person in some way. And I'm always like, Mom, you're just saying that because you're my mom.
Yeah.
Thanks. But and I feel like God has been reminding me of that. It's not like my mom has repeated this, but I think she might have told me this maybe once as a child, but it just like came to mind. And that's something that's like, that's hard to believe. And it's like, especially like when you can't tell what's in your future. It's like, well, I'm doing what I'm doing now, but can I really, like, am I going to look at myself 10 years from now and say, I should be further than I am today because I could have done this or that.
Wait, if you're going to look at yourself 10
years from now and
look back on today and say you could have done more?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, or should I be further than I am today? Like, yeah.
I think everybody struggles with that. I think everybody thinks like, if I made this decision or if I did this, would my life have turned out this way? Or if I had this route or this option, would I be able to become who I'm supposed to be? But I think what we need to remember as well, like, I feel like God isn't a waster. Like, I think sometimes we think that's a word, right?
No, sure, it's not, but
it's fine. We get it.
Wasteful. God isn't wasteful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks. So I think sometimes we think that, oh, this is so stupid, and oh my gosh, this is horrible. I remember my first real official job out of college, when I wasn't passing my CPA exam, like I was so depressed. And I was like, why is this happening to me? Was there whatever? But I feel like it probably will play a role in whatever it is I will become at some point. Because I guess we're always a work in progress. But yeah, I think there's lots of different things that people tell us that I guess will come true or whatever, but we just doubt it because our certain circumstance right now doesn't show it, and it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and I think also, sorry, did I cut you?
No, that's it.
I was gonna say, like, as you said this, I'm open to James 1 right now in the Bible, and I have underlined, consider pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials and of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. So it's like when we go through difficult times, when things aren't going our way, it's not for no reason. It's for a purpose. And like it's like you have to be willing to stay in that moment or in that season of misery or of pain, and trust that God is going to allow you to learn what you're supposed to learn through that. And I think God also speaks to us in those moments because we don't, like, I know that if things are going my way, like I feel like, oh, I'm good. But when things start to like not go my way and I feel like I'm on shaky grounds, that's when you feel like you need God most. And unfortunately, that's how we are.
Yeah.
Like, that's how we are in nature. Yeah. So
it's like you don't start to eat healthy and exercise until you start gaining weight.
Oh yeah.
You know, like no one just lives that life all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't like. I was looking for a specific verse and I can't find it. But also, to wrap up what we were saying about miracles that are difficult to believe, and to any God's promises that we struggle to believe, James 1 verse 5 says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you." So if you feel like you read a verse or you remember a promise that was given to you and you feel like you're doubtful of it, I think it's important for us to be honest with God. Like, you shouldn't be putting up a front thinking, oh yeah, God, I got this. Like, I totally believe you. But you should go to God and say, God, listen, I just read this and I don't like it, or I don't believe it. Please show me or give me wisdom to understand. I think it's important to have honesty with God and to speak to God like He is a person that's right in front of you, not this person that is not reachable. Because His desire is to be with us as a friend, as a father. And I think if we keep that distance between Him and us,
it's not a relationship.
Yeah, it's not a relationship. Like, he's the person that just whips and gives the commands, and like we try to find ways around to not break the law, to come just as close and not really break it. And I think then we lose the value of the relationship that we're supposed to have.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm kind of reaching with this, but
oh my God.
Actually, my pastor.
I thought we were on the same. No, I thought we were on the same like train of thought just now.
I don't know, but
you should both share what your thoughts are.
My pastor had said, God sees the end, or God sees the end, sees the bigger picture. So it's like when we're told something, it's like we don't necessarily see that picture because we're like, what? We see this small piece that doesn't make any sense or whatever. And I even when we talk about the crucifixion, like if you think about it, like when Jesus died, everyone's probably like, oh wow, this is crazy, this is so sad, it's horrible. But God was looking at it in a bigger sense, where it's like, I'm saving my children, so I'm gonna sacrifice my son, even though I know it hurts, and even though I know this is like a tough time and everyone's going through it. In the bigger picture, it's really to save my other daughters and sons. Yeah. So it's like, that's another instance of when something's like tough or a tough moment. Of course, crucifixion is way, way bigger than that. Yeah. But there was a bigger picture to it.
Yep.
Oh, from when you were saying, you were like, you need to talk to God like a friend, like, father and stuff. Like, you can't just go to Him when you need something and da da da. And I was like, it kind of reminds you of like when you have ungrateful children and stuff, right? And like you're their father and you love them or whatever, right? You want to provide them, and you just go to them. Like, you never speak to your parents and you just go to them when you need something. And like, it hurts them. Like, I love you. I want this relationship with you. But you only pop up when, let me get $5. Like, and it's like, or you only pop up like, I need bail money, please. Please help me, or right? Yeah. It hurts, or right? And like just your earthly father or whatever, right? Obviously, he's still gonna love you and you're still his child. But like, are you gonna have the same favor as opposed to somebody who stays at the feet, who's just like, hey mom, I'm just calling to say hi and stuff like that?
Yeah, of course you are. I mean, I think there's a story in the Bible like that. The guy, and he had like two sons.
The prodigal son.
Yeah.
The prodigal son.
And the son was out there in the street bugging out
No, not the same
Live-
love.
living
Yeah,
this
it's the
private
same
life.
love,
The
but I'm
love,
thinking
but
the,
when you say
the
that-
favor.
yeah.
Like, you know, like I don't think you'll get the same like favor because like with the
Oh, I
prodigal
see
son,
what you're saying.
you're out there with the swine and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like I can't. You want me to wire you money or something? I can't. You know, like I tried and I can't. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's true. And I think also, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought of it. What came and left?
Yeah.
Let me try to remember.
What Vicky was talking about?
Wait, what were you talking about?
Oh, where you get your favor for your parents and they want the relationship and it hurts them.
Oh, yes.
And, okay, there we go.
Okay, let me think about the way I'm saying this. Okay, I think that brought to mind, like, God gives us salvation as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine when you, like, if I buy you a phone and I give it to you and you don't appreciate it, or, like, I give you this phone and you just, like, as I'm handing it to you, let it fall to the floor and walk away. I think it's the same thing. Like, God gives us salvation as a gift. He tells us, accept his son as Lord and Master and confess our sins, and he will be faithful and just to forgive us. And if we don't accept that gift, like, how will we look at God on Judgment Day? Like, when he says, listen, I gave you this gift. I gave it to you. Like, I gave you my heart and you completely ignored it. Like, I think that's also something that to think about. Like, when God tells us, you know, like, and for me, it's hard for me, like, if I do something wrong and I feel convicted, it's hard for me to ask God for forgiveness because I know I'm wrong. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I messed up. And, like, you don't feel right to go to God and say, forgive me, because I feel like I shouldn't be forgiven. But then he gave me the free gift of forgiveness. Why am I not accepting it?
Yeah.
And that's something else too.
Oh my
Think
gosh,
about
the other day, well, First Lady, I guess that's what you would call her.
No.
But she had a spring cleaning event. It was just like to swap out clothes that you don't want or whatever and just spring clean and get rid of things. But it was also symbolic of spiritual things that we have to let go. And she talked about like having, you know how like when I don't know, like we had some type of debt and we zeroed it out, but for some reason sometimes we still keep that statement. And she said that God spoke to her and told her, like, God is saying, why are you still holding on to that? Like, it's free. And let it go.
Girl,
I was like,
you been First Lady of your church.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. I was like, she said all this?
You
Daisy.
can do complete sentences.
Do you think she really came up with that?
My husband.
Because I was about her sister. I was like, I guess she's First Lady, right? But but yeah, I was like, yo, that's really deep because I really do hold on to stuff, even though I know it's free.
Yeah.
I know it's done, like a debt that's already paid for. You hold on to it, but she was like, God is telling us to throw it away, like it's okay.
Yeah.
I got
That's a certain amount of trust because like your anxiety will, it ain't like legit anxiety, but your worse. I'm like, you'll like keep things that you don't need to be
just
kept,
in
you know,
case.
just in case. Like
Yeah.
that, you know, and it's just like if you have complete trust in a situation, you just let it go.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. All right, let's try to close this.
Yeah.
This was all over the place, but I think we
It was really good.
talked
I do.
about
Yeah, I
some
think
good
it's good.
stuff
Yeah,
and made
good.
some good points. How do I close? So I think the lesson here is to, one, I think, be honest and open in our relationship with God, to accept His gift of salvation. Number two is when we have doubts and we are, if we read a verse or if we are struggling with believing a promise that God made to us years ago or days ago or weeks ago, to really be honest with Him about that, our doubt in that moment or our struggle to believe that miracle, and to allow Him to work in us and give us wisdom to believe in that miracle and to have the faith, to believe. And that's it.
Okay. Woo woo. That was
All right.
today's podcast.
Thank you for joining us this week at
A word at the table. You know what it is?